Hey, good morning and welcome, guys. It is Thursday. Papa Powell was speaking this evening. We have PPI, we had CPI yesterday, we killed it, and so much more. Welcome to Powell's for Breakfast. So let's jump in, let's get started. There's a ton to discuss today, and really it's a breakdown of what happened yesterday. Well, if you guys were with us live yesterday, if you're part of Premium Plus, and obviously we covered that CPI news event, what were the probabilities, what could end up happening, and we saw a little bit of a spike prior to the data coming out. And when the data came out, the market's a little bit confused, but we pretty much had a good understanding of what needed to happen. Markets ultimately resulted or broken down into the areas that we believed it was going to happen and how it was going to move. So if you're with us live yesterday, we had a short in gold, we had a short on NZD USD, and it just absolutely smashed it, right? NZD USD is running massively in profit. So if you're in that trade, well done. You managed to hold on to gold, that bucking sort of pull around that happened, then again, massive well done. Now we have issued a new signal into school right now as I'm speaking, if you're watching me live, for another trade on gold. So you want to go ahead and check that out. And again, if you're not part of Premium Plus, then what are you doing, right? That is where it is at. So we started this morning with the most obvious, and that is what the world is going to be speaking about, and that is about this Fed interest rate meeting, right? This is what is going to primarily be driving markets in totality today, right? Even European and Asian stocks are basically on pause and pretty much holding out until we obviously see what ends up materializing. Now, the great consensus here in terms of what is potentially going to happen and what the markets and world think will materialize here is that the markets believe that Papa Powell needs to be quite bullish or quite hawkish in this meeting. And that just basically means his tone is going to be very sort of cold, very sort of direct, very sort of, I'd say cold and direct is kind of the way, you know, to sort of summarize that. And the reason for that is a couple things, right? First reason being, he needs to obviously stand firm for the US economy. It can't be seen to be too soft and admitting that, you know, everything they've done has sort of worked and interest rates are coming down and lovey and dovey, right? I don't think that's the tone that's going to happen this evening. Or that's what sort of economists around the world are kind of thinking, right? Again, nothing I'm telling you should be taken as financial advice. This is for education, entertainment purposes only, as always. But that's what the world thinks, right? Powell's going to be fairly sort of hawkish. Now, what does this have to do with the dollar? What does this have to do with economies, right? So generally speaking, where we are right now, there's quite a intense sort of T-junction for the US economy. And if you've been in any one of our previous shows, I've broken down, you know, these interest rate increases and what they mean for the dollar, and this pause, this potential pause and what that means, and potential downgrading of these interest rates or lowering of interest rates, what that means. But in general, what you need to know is that a pause is going to signal really, really well to Wall Street. And the dot and plot chart that we're going to see this evening will basically signal to the market and to investors when next year can we expect, or when will the Fed expect to start decreasing interest rate, right? That's going to be very exciting. As you guys know, lowering interest rates means a weaker dollar and better performance across gold, across Wall Street as a whole. That is the general consensus. Now, this evening, I think we're going to see quite a few things. Now, the beauty about attending and obviously breaking down things like this evening when it comes to Powell is you're trying to read the world's most powerful man when it comes to finances, what he's trying to say, and he needs to say as little as possible to convey the point without diving too deep and getting caught up by questions and answers. And that's what happens, right? There's a speech, there's an announcement, Federal Reserve chooses to keep interest rates at this, or chooses to raise or lower, whatever the case may be. We think it's going to be held flat. He then gives a bit of a speech as to why the Fed or the committee decided on that. And then there's questions and answers that come then after. Right, and throughout each one of those cycles, we can see quite a bit of volatility across the markets. I've got a fairly good idea of what's going to happen. I've got some very, very exciting trades I believe are going to pop off in that moment. And I've prepared some that I've been up to super late, early hours of this morning. I only had a couple hours worth of sleep just because I'm excited about the future of where this is going to go, right? I think December is going to be an amazing trading month. If you were trading in September, October, November, we saw some weird conditions. We're seeing December really shape up, price action start to pull back together, which is super, super exciting. Now, if you're part of Premium Plus, you'll be live with me this evening as we cover that announcement from Papa Powell, right? We'll be breaking that down together, and we will be together, right? And this is going to be a trade-a-thon. This is generally one of the events that I most enjoy, just from the perspective that we get to have some fun, we get to play around, you guys get to ask some questions, I get to give you some deeper insights, and we don't have to keep it short and concise as we generally have to do, right? So I really like that. Now, if you are a Premium Plus member and you're wondering how to get access to all your live shows, we're starting to upload and pre-upload all the shows, all the schedules, so you can literally add it to your calendar. If you are a Premium Plus member, you come into your calendar and you'll see here is our Papa Powell interest rate meeting that's going to be happening this evening, right? We are going to go live at 9:15, right? And that's just because he only goes live at 9:30, and it gives us 15 minutes to really discuss things, listen in, and I'll give you my strategy, my breakdown, my prediction of what I think is going to happen. And if you are a Premium Plus member, you can go and hit that button right there, and that'll basically take you in there, and you can go notify yourself of when that's going to happen, right? So again, just keeping in mind there, that's going to be at 9:15 this evening. All right, now enough about that. What I'll be doing today, what is most important, right? So I did mention we also have PPI data release, right? Producers price index, or basically the inflation on the producers side of things. Now, this can move markets. It's not expected to drive markets in some crazy way. It just can move markets, right? So just so you are aware, you have the PPI coming in at 3:30 again this afternoon, PPI month on month. And there's two big items you want to take, a little bit of care of. And that's going to be your straight producers price index month on month, producers price index year on year, as well as core producers price index month on month, year on year, right? And again, as we did yesterday, if you missed yesterday, you weren't part of Premium Plus, I'm sorry about that. I think what I'll go ahead and do, depending on how many likes and shares this video gets, if this video likes and shares more or better than any of the other videos for this week, what I'll go ahead and do is I'll post the live event from yesterday that was in Premium Plus. So those of you who aren't in Premium Plus can come and learn what it is we do in Dollars for Lunch, how we break things down, etc. And you can re-watch what happened in terms of the CPI, some of our live trades, etc. So if you haven't done so already, smash the like button down below. If you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. It's absolutely free. And yeah, as always, that really goes a long way to driving what it is we're doing. So as you guys should already know if you've watched any previous shows, right? So higher than expected number here is going to be good for the dollar, lower than expected, bad for the dollars, right? So good for the dollar means bad for US 100, US 30, S&P 500, bad for gold. And then wherever, obviously the dollar is the quote currency, that indice or that currency pair will fall. So Euro USD, right? If there's a higher than expected reading here, that will obviously cause a little bit of a nosedive for most of those items. And again, it also comes down to standard deviation. Now, we're not going to be covering this. We're not going to be trading this live this afternoon. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference from the price action as a whole. We're just simply going to sit back and observe, right? So I think that's going to be the bigger play over here. The big item, as I've said, and obviously spoken about, is going to be that interest rate decision. Now, I just want to let you know the interest rate decision is going to come out at 9 o'clock. We're only getting live at 9:15. I do believe it's going to stay flat. There's no indication that the Fed will want to raise interest rates and unsettle the markets right now, specifically being December. It's going to remain flat. However, the actual press conference and the economic projections that we're looking for, this is obviously what is most important to us and what we're going to be discussing in quite great detail. However, you're here to talk about the markets, you're here to talk about some trades. So let's jump into it. Now, again, if you're part of Premium Plus yesterday, we spoke about all the trades that we're currently looking at, right? At the time, we were looking at GBP/USD from a sell perspective, right? GBP/USD made that a little bit of a spike, made a really good pullback, and I got a couple screenshots from you guys. We were wanting to send GBP/USD out for a sell trade yesterday. I explained if we recovered down below that 1.25 or essentially 1.258 area, 1.26, maybe even flat, that that would be a safe place to sell. So if you sold that, it's 40-50 pips round about there. Euro USD did the exact same thing. If we recovered down below that 1.08 mark, would be a safe place to sell. If you got that, that would be another 35 to 40 pips per position. And if you're part of our NZD USD trade from yesterday, right, we sold around about this area. We got a little bit of a spike up prior to the news happening. We had a very good stop loss here, so nothing to worry about. But that is currently running almost 50 pips in profit. We've taken TP1, we've taken TP2, and we're remaining with one final position. Stop losses are in profit. Now, we've just issued out a gold sell order, right? Now, there's a couple reasons for this, and I'm going to quickly maybe go to an hour time frame just to talk about this. And there's a lot of happening on my charts. I apologize. It just is what it is, right? So I'm going to go to yesterday, right? And this is what happened yesterday. Markets pressed up. Now, we were very, very keen and showing very, very carefully that price action would be king yesterday, is that I had a gut feeling that even though economists and the rest of the world was talking about, a lower than expected inflation reading, this is going to be great. I explained that what we're seeing across the board from a price action perspective is actually the markets needed a stronger dollar yesterday to allow price action to play out in this particular way that we're seeing right in front of us. What happened? We got that slightly stronger dollar. So markets spiked temporarily, right, based on the news that inflation would come down. That's obviously not what happened. And so we observed the spike in real time, and then we saw markets pull back down into that zone. And then we obviously saw that sell-off absolutely dominate and ran as far as about 120, 130 pips or so. Now, with that being said, this morning, we've issued off a sell order for the price of gold at current market price. If you're not already part of that, it should already be in school. So let's quickly jump in here. Let's switch over to free community, right? And so there we've got our gold sell there. And as always, if you guys go ahead and like or you comment on a trade, that will mean that you'll be following the trade, right? So if you like or comment on a trade, as an example, I'm just going to drop a GIF in here, anything whatsoever, screenshot, doesn't matter, whatever it is you want to do. That is enough to essentially start following the trade. So I'm going to drop a little GIF in here, and you'll see here it says watch, right? So that means that any comments, any updates we make to the trade, you will get a notification from within your school community area, right? So there we go. There's our sell 78 to 81, right? So that's the range we're looking at. And we're on that 78 to 81 range already. I've already got in some trades a little bit earlier on because I saw that little bit of a pushback. And I will be teaching a little bit more about the strategy in the coming days to Premium Plus members. But ultimately, right, we're starting to get those concrete signs again every single morning in terms of the golden nugget, etc. We're starting to get those concrete signs, and I saw markets starting to turn at this level, popped in some of those sells, and we issued off that order. Now, there was some room here to push slightly higher, so that's why we had a range of that 1978, 1979 to 1981 range. And it's purely because of the fact that, right, we saw yesterday with the CPI, markets pressed, honored this channel perfectly, but again, we're obviously making sure about this larger channel that's running through this market here, right? So this channel that's running through here, right, we're just making sure that we utilize that as a good resistance level, that markets don't press above that level. So I've got stop losses 1984. We've issued a 1983 just to keep risk management under, in check. And obviously we want to see how this one performs. Now, we do have some really good trade opportunities sitting on US 30 as well as NAS 100. But again, that's going to be part of our evening trade setup, right? I've got some really good predictions of what I do believe Powell will be doing this evening and how markets may potentially react. And we're going to take advantage of that through the use of some penny orders. We're just going to have fun with it, right? We know long term what we're expecting to see materialize. I think the markets are giving away a lot of those clues. If you have a look at some of the gains we're seeing on US 100, on NASDAQ, S&P 500, the market's got a fairly good idea of what this means for the market as a long term, as a whole. So we're going to obviously be in that, and we want to grab some swing trades we can hold in December. How amazing would it be if we could get into some indice trades, hold them on for weeks, right, across the board? That's where it's all about. Now, again, if you want to be a part of Premium Plus, less than $1 a day, but you need to have yourself a TD Market live account. Now, this is a true STP live account, right? Now, if you want to understand what is an STP account and why this is so important for us that we've partnered with TD Markets, right? We are going to be having an episode next Saturday, right? I believe that it sits on the 22nd, sorry, next Friday, the 22nd, right? We're going to be exposing everything you need to know and so much more about brokers in South Africa, as well as the rest of the world, as well as some funded account challenge entities. How do they make their money? And is there a conflict of interest? And we're going to be revealing some things that are going to blow you away. We're going to give you some inside information. We're going to invite account managers who've worked at these brokers, some people who've had equity and shares in these brokers, to expose a little bit about why it is so important that you understand who you're aligned with. And this is going to be essentially, exposing brokers in Southern Africa and the rest of the world, right? That is going to be next week, Friday. That's going to be the 22nd. You want to be a part of that. Now, you want to be ahead of the curve. You want to have a true STP live account. then again, link is in the description down below in our school community. And if you want to go even one step further, right, and you want to understand, like, you want to get the inside scoop of, you know, what is an STP live account, etc., right, I have listed and put available to you guys that we have this TD Markets live Q&A webinar. Right now, this is before we even made the decision to switch over to TD Markets. Right, this is where I invited some of our leaders, about 20 or 30 of our leaders, who also obviously have their own followings, etc., that we had a meeting with Amar, the CEO of TD Markets, and really discussed the pros and the cons, what's happening in the industry, why there are such big problems at the moment, the difference between A book, B book, and an STP account, and so many more items. Now, if you want to go and access that, right, that is available to you. You just need to be on level 2 within the school community. That just means engaging, liking, and sharing a little bit. And that meeting is a full hour of really in-depth conversation. Nothing's hidden. Everything's available to you to see, learn, hear, and understand. And again, for those of you who are trading with or banking with a B book environment, you say, well, hey, you're doing it because of the spreads, or you're doing it because of whatever the case may be. Please let you understand that long term you will not survive in that environment. Right, the odds are against you, the numbers are against you, and whether you make a mistake or you're forced to make a mistake will happen nevertheless long term. If you want to be in a Rolls Royce of trading environments where your growth is encouraged, your prosperity and longevity is an incentive to the broker, then STP is where you want to be, and that is what it is all about. Simply, clean cut, that is what it's all about. Outside of that, guys, listen, much love as always. If you don't know, it's the classroom. You want to go into the Q&A webinar, and again, if you want to grab some other education, some other better understanding of what's happening in the markets, this is free within our social environment. Link is down below. Just jump in, submit a few questions, and we will give you access to our social area. Outside of that, we will be posting some trades as and when they pop out. We already had an immense day yesterday. We're going to have even a better day today. We're going to have some fun tonight with our Premium Plus members. Outside of that, you know the drill. Much love as always, and I'll see you a little bit later. And until then, you know the drill. Goodbye.